Hey guys, Dan here with this week's movie reviews. We're just going to do one actually this week. I was originally going to do a bunch of recent Netflix movies, including the Eurovision Song Contest one with Will Ferrell. But, you know, I think we can pause on that till next week because everybody, of course, is talking about Hamilton being on Disney+. This is a huge deal. This was actually supposed to be theatrically released in October of next year. But Disney thought with everything, you know, kind of being slowed down right now, there's not a lot of new content out there right now, and the stuff that is kind of, you know, getting to be dried up. So they thought, you know, what better thing than to put it on for free on Disney Plus for the Independence Day weekend. It's about the history of this country. Let's throw it on there for July 4th. So kudos to them for doing that, because I think they definitely could have made a ton of money on Hamilton, unlike some of their other stuff, like Artemis Fowl. That was a money loser to begin with, I think. You know, horrible reviews. But this one, I think, was going to light up the box office. Now, we do have Lin-Manuel Miranda's other film, In the Heights, that was actually a real film adaptation of the Broadway show that was supposed to be out this summer. That's going to be moved to next summer. I don't know who's putting that out. It might be Fox, but of course Disney owns Fox anyway, so same difference, I suppose. But I forget. But anyway, this is actually a filming of the Broadway show of Hamilton from back in 2016. So it does have the original cast from the first version of the Broadway show. So Lin-Manuel Miranda himself is Alexander Hamilton. He, of course, wrote the book and music and lyrics for this show. There's not a whole lot of talking, really. I mean, it's mostly song, 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 a lot like Les Mis. But I guess that there is enough of some dialogue in between there to credit him for the book as well. But either way, he wrote everything that you see in Hamilton. Now, for my personal history with Hamilton, I've never seen it. I didn't really know. I mean, I knew kind of about it. I knew it was about Alexander Hamilton. I knew it was about him and Aaron Burr for part of it. I knew Thomas Jefferson was part of it. But I purposely avoided seeing things about this show not because I didn't think I wouldn't like it. It wasn't because I, you know, was like, oh, it's too overhyped. No, I wanted to kind of go into it very fresh, and I figured if I was ever going to see it, I want to see it in full without knowing any of the songs ahead of time. Like, you know, see the songs for the first time in the show as they originated. So I did listen to a couple songs from the mixtape they did a couple years ago. I know Kelly Clarkson did It's Quiet Uptown, so I knew that song. I had heard that a bunch, and then I'd heard maybe one other one a few times. But other than that, I didn't really know any of the songs. And those also aren't entirely in context because they're sort of, you know, pop remix versions of the originals. So I think that was the right choice to make. I don't really follow Broadway stuff. I know what shows are big, but I don't necessarily listen to the music from them because I figure if I'm ever going to see it, I want to go into it, you know, 100% fresh, which is what I did. I saw one Broadway show ever. It was Gypsy, and Patti LuPone was in it. God bless that woman. I got to meet her and shake her hand backstage. Not backstage. Outside the stage door is what I meant. I am not that privileged, believe me. But that's the only Broadway show I've ever seen. So I sort of figured, well, maybe I'll see it in a touring company, or maybe I'll see Hamilton, you know, if they run it on TV. I figured at some point, like, they were going to run it, or they were going to do a movie version or whatever. This is like the best of both worlds because it's a movie version of the Broadway show. And so what they did was they filmed it over 3 nights in 2016. And actually, you know, one was a Sunday matinee, and one they just sort of did another run through that day, and just sort of without an audience, I guess. And then they filmed it on Monday as well, which usually Monday is when Broadway goes dark. But they did like a special engagement on Monday for that. So the director of the film version, it's the same guy that actually directed the original stage version off Broadway, and actually he did Lin-Manuel's In the Heights as well, which, you know, I just referred to. But his name is Thomas Kail, and he's done, a little TV work here and there. He's done, a few different episodes of TV shows, but I would say he's probably most well known for this kind of thing. And so what they did was set up cameras all over the place, including like in the audience, so they could get different shots. And then each performance, I guess they filmed sort of different angles, maybe, or they would film between close-ups and more far away shots. I don't know, but over 3 nights they did this all and sort of edited it together. So here's the cool thing about Hamilton. This is really, really one of the absolute touchstones of entertainment for the last decade. There are very few things, and not just movies, but just entities of entertainment that have captivated so many people and are so pretty much universally beloved. I mean, most people, I think, generally love Hamilton. Not just like, oh yeah, it's okay, or yeah, it's pretty good. Like, love this thing. And I was trying to think as I was watching it, like, what are the other major entertainment things in the last 10 years? I can really only think of a few. I mean, certainly the Avengers, getting all of the separate Avengers on screen for one movie, like, and then, following it up with the end game and all of that stuff. I think the Avengers sort of as a whole, you could say that about, certainly. Probably the fervor over the Star Wars, The Force Awakens movie, because that was the first one to feature the original actors in, like, was it 25, 30 years or something like that. So obviously, like, that was huge. But, I mean, and I guess Adele, her albums 21 and 25, I mean, Adele obviously is a huge cultural touchstone. Hamilton is right up there with all of that. And I feel like it's the only thing on Broadway to have done that. I mean, it's broken all sorts of records, box office records, Tony records. And so I went into this sort of with the mindset that, okay, I'm going to be open-minded, but is this going to be one of these things that's like just kind of a letdown because I waited so long on it and it was so hyped? It's honestly not. I mean, this is... I'm just going to say it. I mean, it's the best thing I've seen all year, like, without question. Like, it's not even close. Now, I haven't given any A-pluses out this year, so it's not like there have been any just amazing movies. I've given out a few A's, but this just blows everything out of the water. It's... First of all, okay, let's talk about the show itself. I mean, that I feel like has been probably analyzed to death over the last 5 years by everybody, every publication, all the YouTube reviewers, of course, that have seen it. So it seems kind of trite, I guess, to review the show itself. So, I mean, the best I can do there is just kind of echo what probably everyone has already said, which is it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, it's really cool because it's historical, and from what I understand, it's pretty historically accurate. The music is done in such a wonderful way that you're getting story, because, like I said earlier, it is pretty much all songs, which is something I didn't realize. I thought it was a more traditional musical in the sense that it's, music, spoken dialogue. But it's really not. It's almost entirely music, which I did not realize. And so you get all your story through that. You get all your character development through the songs. And the songs, look, they're not all home runs. I think what musical is really. My favorite musical of all time is probably, in terms of Broadway and play versions, is probably Guys and Dolls. I think every song in Guys and Dolls is probably like a total winner, like A+ range. This is not quite that. But it's hard to be when you are 2 hours and 40 minutes of nothing but music. But the songs that hit are all amazing, and even the ones that don't, at the very least, advance the story in some way, advance our characters in some way. And this show just has such a great match of just the style and the substance. Like, when I first heard about Hamilton, I thought, oh, it's a hip-hop Broadway show about Alexander Hamilton, I was like, all right, that's sort of like kitschy a little bit, maybe. Like, oh, okay, hip hop's so hot right now. MTV had done that Carmen, version with hip hop, and they've done other things like that on TV. And I just thought, I don't know, like it might be a little gimmicky. But it really isn't. Like, it flows together wonderfully. And the cool thing is, it's not all hip-hop. Like, that's what I was sort of under the impression of. It's a really wide variety of R&B, soul, I would say even some pop in there. It does certainly have a hip-hop lean, there's no doubt about that, but it really tackles a lot of more diverse genres that I didn't quite realize, before seeing it today. And I just finished it. I mean, these are my fresh thoughts here off the cuff. But this is, like I said earlier, the original cast as well. So it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, it's Daveed Diggs, who I have just fallen in love with over the last few years. The first time I saw him was as the teacher in Wonder, which is an amazing movie anyway, but he's such a great part of that movie. He doesn't have a huge role, but in the few scenes he's in, he just shines like a frickin' diamond. And then everything else I've seen him in since. I mean, he was in, Blind Spotting, which I gave an A+ to. He was in Undone on Amazon, which he does a voice for and is just amazing. He's also on this new show on Apple TV+, Central Park. He does a voice for that. Like, everything he does, I feel like, is just gold. So it was great to see him. And he does two different roles, because he plays one role in Act 1, and then he plays a different role, Thomas Jefferson, in Act 2. And so, because we take, if you don't know, we take it through from 1776 when Alexander Hamilton lands in New York up through his death in the early 1800s. So it takes us through almost 30 years of his life and his wheelings and dealings both politically and with his marriage and all of that. So, but we've also got Leslie Odom Jr., which when my sister and brother-in-law, brother and sister-in-law, flip that, got to see Hamilton a few years ago, Leslie Odom Jr. was still a part of it. I don't think any of the original cast is still in it now. But Philippa Sue plays Eliza Hamilton. She's great. One of the best parts, King George III. He's sort of the comic relief, I would say. There's some humor throughout, but he certainly is the funniest. Jonathan Groff plays him. And he, has voices in Frozen, and he also was on Glee for a little while, so he's no stranger to singing, and certainly no stranger for singing for Disney. Speaking of Disney, by the way, if you don't know, this was sort of in the news about, like, oh, is everything going to be intact because it's Disney Plus, and you got to edit yourself and all of this. And really, other than 2 F-bombs, everything else is the same. There's 3 F-bombs in the stage show. They cut out 2 of them for this version. And it's like, it's whatever. I mean, look, I worked in radio for 10 years-ish. I'm no stranger to editing things. So to me, that was just no big deal. I think people were worried about, like, oh, are you still going to have this scene? Or, oh, this is kind of risque. This, this part is real sexy. And it's like, okay, you got to remember, Disney Plus, yes, they have all the classic Disney movies, but they also have The Simpsons. They also have all the Marvel stuff, which is all PG-13. So it's not all little kiddie stuff on Disney. So, put your mind at ease if you haven't read that part about it. Everything is pretty much intact except for those 2 words, which is totally fine. I don't care at all. And I don't think people generally care about that. I think they were just worried that the content of the show itself would be altered, and it's not. But what's great about this is it's directed in such a way that it is really, to me, it's probably even better than seeing it on the stage, because look, I'm short. I'm only 5'3", so depending on how the staging is set up, like, my mileage varies from theater to theater, and that goes for concerts too. I mean, if it's standing room only at a concert, like, unless I'm standing way back, I can't see anything, and it sucks. But this is done in such a way that there's no one seat in the house that would be able to see everything that you see in this movie. They have some cameras coming in from side stage, from more backstage a little bit, and then of course from all angles of the venue. The the Richard, it's not the Hammerstein, it's Rogers from, of course, Rogers and Hammerstein. It's the Rogers Theater, but So it's so cool because, like, to me, it'd be great to see it on stage. Of course, there's no doubt about that. But what's really nice about this is you do get to see things from all sides. You get to see faces close up, and, like, for example, the king makes some really funny faces, and if you were, at the stage production, I'm not sure if you would be able to see all of that in its full glory, like, or maybe you'd be looking at something else on the side of the stage. This is directed by design to get the maximum, improvements from how you might sit and watch it. Because I know even with the one show I saw, like I said, Gypsy, there were things that I really didn't see the whole thing of because first of all, we were a little bit side stage, and the seats were great, because we were like third or fourth row or something. But we were a little bit side stage, so I had to kind of keep looking a little bit. This is just like you are there, but it's even better. It's like you are there plus. No pun intended for Disney Plus, but so they're really trying to maximize what this show can do. And like I said, even if the songs aren't all amazing, it's so groundbreaking the way this is done, and the themes of it are great because it's, like I said, from what I understand, it's really pretty accurate to the real story as we know it. So what Lin-Manuel Miranda has done is just amazing with this. I mean, it truly is, and it belongs up there in that pantheon of great things from the 2010s, great entertainment things, right up there with Adele and with the Avengers. This is outstanding. I was a little bit torn on Lin-Manuel Miranda, to be honest, because of the hype surrounding Hamilton. I wasn't dismissive of Hamilton, the show, but I was just like, is this guy really all that great? Or even I thought, like, is he maybe a one-trick pony? I actually didn't realize for a long time that he also did In the Heights, which I haven't seen, but again, by all accounts, it's, like, amazing. And just from the movie trailer that I saw a few months ago, I was like, oh my god, I'm so pumped for this movie. I'm really bummed out that it's not going to be out till next summer. But then I saw him in, I guess it was Mary Poppins Returns. I'm trying to think if it was before that. Well, I saw him host SNL before that. Let me see what else he's been in that I would maybe know him from. Odd Life of Timothy Green. Alright, he probably played a really small part in that. I mean, his first main thing... Oh, I know. Moana. Okay. I didn't think the songs in Moana were all that amazing. I think there's some good ones, but like compared to Frozen, compared to Tangled, I don't think the songs in Moana are that amazing. So he did the music for that, so I was like, okay, maybe this guy's more of a one-trick pony, Hamilton, but then he did Mary Poppins Returns, and I was like, oh, alright, cool, like, this dude can sing, he can act, he can do little accents, he definitely does have a lot of talent then, and, I'm so pumped about In the Heights, but this, to sort of put a pin in the review, this is an amazing show. People already know that, I think, for the most part, but I am in agreement with them. I don't think it's overhyped. I don't think people are talking too much about how great it is because it is fantastic. It's easily, like I said up top, the best thing I've seen all year. And the film version is just amazing. Like, it's so great how they captured all of it. The directing is just wonderful. There's really, other than like maybe not all the songs are amazing, but again, like they still at least advance the story and stuff, unlike some movies with throwaway songs that you could lift out and the movie might be better for it. Here, I don't think that's the case. This is my first A+ of the year. I think Hamilton is fantastic. I'm so glad that I waited to really see everything at once, see and hear everything at once. I'm glad I didn't kind of seek out the soundtrack individually. I just don't think this would have had the same impact if I did that. I'm very glad that I chose to wait so I can see it all and hear it all cohesively as it was intended by Lin-Manuel Miranda. The dude's got the talent. He really, really does. And he's a great actor in this, by the way, too. I didn't really mention that. But all of the acting and singing is top-notch in this. There's nobody that's like, oh, he sticks out like a sore thumb like you get with a lot of Broadway shows. I mean, maybe that's unfair. A lot of musical films, I guess you could say that about, like Mamma Mia, for example. What's his face? Pierce Brosnan couldn't sing. Les Mis was almost ruined by Russell Crowe's horrible singing. You don't get any of that here. Everybody is just. I mean, these are top-notch actors, singers, and Lin-Manuel Miranda has really created something very, very special here. So it's definitely an A+ for me. Best thing I've seen all year, TV, movie, otherwise. This is the cream of the crop. I'm glad Disney Plus decided to do it now. Give it to everybody for free. A nice thing for Disney to do, especially when they're kind of hemorrhaging money a little bit with Disney World being closed for so long, and a lot of their movies being pushed back to 2021. Onward. Theaters closed about 3 weeks after Onward premiered, so they kind of got, the screw job on that. So I will give it to them. I think it was a nice thing to do. So next week, I will be back with my usual slate of 4 movies. I think we'll try to do 4 Netflix ones next week, although we do have the Tom Hanks movie coming to Apple TV Plus that was supposed to be theatrically released, and that's coming, I think, next weekend. So maybe I'll get to that soon as well. But thanks so much for watching, and subscribe if you haven't, by the way. I'm over 450 subscribers now, which is awesome. I started the year with just under 400, so I've been picking them up nicely. So please subscribe if you haven't already. And that's it. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.